As we all know from the news, the creators of The Simpsons know everything. Moreover, they anticipate many events in advance. Today, we will look at the most incredible and amazing predictions from the creators of the popular series and also evaluate which of them are just going to come true. Let's get started. An actual prediction that is really surprising is how The Simpsons predicted Trump's return to the presidency. In 2022, the businessman announced that he would run for president of the United States again. But it's worth recalling that the Simpsons series, where they travel to the future and see President Trump, was released back in 2015 before his first term in office. Back in 1998, the creators of The Simpsons showed the first VR glasses while Homer and Marge used them to try some virtual food. Surprisingly, today's engineers have actually invented such glasses. This is an innovative technology that allows you to change the taste sensations of almost any product. Of course, the prototype has not yet been released to the mass consumer, but the first tests show a positive result. Today, developments in the field of artificial intelligence have indeed reached unprecedented proportions. In fact, AI can solve problems, give advice, and even share its opinions and express emotions. Progress is clearly not standing still, and many people have already lost their jobs because they were easily replaced by AI. So it's worth remembering that the Simpsons series, where artificial intelligence became too smart and decided to replace humanity. Of course, they showed a full-fledged uprising of machines, but where is the guarantee that artificial intelligence will soon not realize that humanity is the main obstacle to progress? But one of the most terrible predictions of The Simpsons was back in 1987. Then, Homer's grandfather woke up everyone in the middle of the night with the words about the Third World War. The reason for this was the Cold War, which reached its climax. The Cold War ended in 1991, but today, many experts declare the beginning of a new one, and the consequences of which are really unpredictable. The most important thing is that reality does not reach such a scale. And we're moving on at the speed of light. All the most interesting things are still ahead. Another coincidence that we cannot ignore is the episode where humanity colonized Mars. At the end of the episode, we are shown the year 2051 and a family we know living in a residential area on Mars. Surprisingly, a few months after the episode was released, Elon Musk announced that he wanted to colonize Mars and began selecting the team that would fly there. Just a little later, he presented a plan on how he could get people there and even bring the spaceship back. Who's ready to go to Mars first? A coincidence that is difficult to explain precisely is Richard Branson in space. There was a curious episode where Lisa met with a forger of famous paintings, and when he listed who really enjoyed them, they showed Richard Branson in space for a second. Surprisingly, then the billionaire did not even think about going there. However, 7 years later, he actually made a flight that showed the whole world that space tourism is at least possible. But the disaster on the diving machine for underwater exploration is a sadder but no less impressive coincidence. The fact is that there is a series where Homer thinks he has found his real father and goes with him on a diving machine for underwater exploration to look for treasures, but his machine gets trapped underwater and Homer runs out of oxygen. Similar events occurred in 2023 when a team of tourists on a similar machine went to explore the wreckage of the Titanic. Unfortunately, the structure could not withstand the water pressure and they could not lift the device up. The oxygen ran out pretty quickly, and no one could be saved. Sometimes we see predictions not only of political events, but also of sports. Who would have thought that the USA would win gold at the Olympic Games in the curling discipline? Only the writers of the prophetic series. According to the plot, the four go to the Olympic Games in Vancouver and overcome Sweden in the final. Surprisingly, the creators made a mistake only with the Olympic Games. They were held in South Korea, not in Canada, and the US and Sweden actually reached the finals, where the US team won. Now let's talk about the touchscreen grammar correcting technology. In 1994, no one could have thought of such gadgets, but in the series, they showed a gadget that automatically corrects any text. Of course, we all use an autocorrector now, and sensor technologies are incredibly popular, but how did they know in advance? Now, how do you like the global outbreak of the virus, which was predicted by the creators of The Simpsons back in 1997? It's not even surprising that they predicted a similar outbreak that happened in 2020 with COVID-19, but how accurately they showed the panic, the actions of the authorities, total misinformation, and the fight for a cure. If you watch this episode, you'll just be amazed at the coincidences.
There are things that are absolutely impossible to believe, and how could this even happen?
This is another amazing coincidence. In a 2008 episode, Homer tries to use a voting machine to cast a vote for Barack Obama, but it always votes for a competitor. 4 years later, in the presidential election in Pennsylvania, a similar incident occurred, which caused a huge resonance. The voting machine gave its vote to Barack Obama's competitor, which showed that we shouldn't trust technology so much. In 2005, Bart was driving a flying car. Of course, it was impossible at that time, but technology now makes it possible to do this. Moreover, many companies have already implemented them, so it is quite possible that traffic jams will no longer be a problem for us. Now let's move to holograms. Surprisingly, the creators of the series predicted that we would receive messages from each other using holograms. Their next prediction came true because now engineers have created full-fledged holograms that can transmit a human image for several thousand kilometers. Amazingly, in one of the episodes of the 90s, Homer gets a job as a safety inspector at a nuclear power plant. Due to his mistake, one of the submarines sinks and the crew is trapped inside. The fatal crash of the Kursk submarine happened almost a year later. The crew fell into a similar underwater trap. Now the volcanic eruption in Spain. In 2004, The Simpsons had an episode about a sudden volcanic eruption and a reporter who covered the event. Surprisingly, the consequences of the volcanic eruption in Spain have become incredibly similar to what the authors of the series showed. If we compare the 2004 episode and the work of the reporters who covered the tragedy, we will get an incredible similarity. Animals in the circus do not often attack trainers, and especially rarely a white tiger does it. However, the Simpsons script predicted a white tiger attack on 2 trainers in a circus 10 years ago. Everyone managed to survive, but no further performances with the animal would be allowed. Will Disney buy the largest 20th Century Fox film studio? Who would have believed it a few years ago? Only the creators of our favorite animated series. It is unknown where they found out this, but in one of the episodes, they show how the Mickey Mouse Company takes control of everything. Another incredible prediction from The Simpsons is the moment Lisa became president after Donald Trump. She claims that due to the tense political situation in the world, there has been a severe economic downturn. The situation today is more than tense, and the modern economic system is going through the strongest of tests. What are the chances that we won't all face a global economic crisis in the coming years? Humanity certainly did not expect such a prediction. In one of the episodes of our series, a black hole appears that absorbs everything in its path. A real apocalypse is taking place where only one Lisa remains alive. Surprisingly, scientists have recently recorded a real black hole that threatens humanity. It is only 1,560 light-years from Earth, which has turned out to be the closest it has ever been. A burning police station is what impressed Simpsons fans in 2020 in Minneapolis. The fact is that during the George Floyd protests, people were so angry that they destroyed everything in their path. This police station is the best example. It was burned in the same way as in The Simpsons. A few more incredible predictions from the creators of The Simpsons is a Barbie movie that everyone was crazy about. Yes, they were the first to tell us about the movie that will drive the whole planet crazy, and as we remember, last year, we had a chance to watch something similar. It turns out that by watching The Simpsons, you can not only see predictions of world events, but also a spoiler for your favorite series. Be careful, now there will be a spoiler for the end of Game of Thrones. In one of the episodes that aired before the finale, they predicted the last episode with amazing accuracy and even showed a city that was being destroyed by a dragon.
Don't forget to share the most impressive moment of this episode in the comments below. See you soon.